My name is Inger Stark, and I am the Staff Development Coordinator here at Peralta. And I want to start this morning by welcoming you to our District Professional Development Flex Day. A couple of things I'd like to say. First is an apology that the information about today went out so late. That is my responsibility alone. And I will do better in the future with communicating farther ahead of events. The second thing is to tell you that while the schedule doesn't have quite as many events at each hour slot, I tried very hard to respond to faculty and staff requests about topics that are important and meaningful to them right now at this time. So I will stay in the meeting and I will keep an eye on the chat. In the chat, if you have questions about the day and the logistics or the schedule, you can send those to me. But in a moment, Mark is going to tell you a little bit more about how the Q&A will work for questions related to the presentation. So I want to thank the Chancellor for making today possible and thank the Peralta Federation of Teachers that ensures that the position that I hold as a staff development coordinator exists. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Mark, who is our communications aficionado, and he's going to launch the presentation today.
Great. Thank you very much, Dr. Stark. Welcome, Peralta community. Let's see, I think maybe I need to add myself as, oh, I have replaced the ASL communicator, so I will bring her back in onto the screen. Good morning, everybody. So my name is Mark Johnson. Thank you, Dr. Stark, for getting us kicked off on this amazing Flex Day. What an incredible program of activities that you have lined up for us. A bit of housekeeping for the session today with Dr. Jackson, our Chancellor. We are using the webinar format. We are expecting over 300 attendees, and our regular Zoom accounts have a 300-person limit. So that's why we're using the webinar format today. We had some confusion between chat and Q&A at the town hall meeting that we had back in October. So at our town hall in December, we went to just using Q&A, and that seemed to work much more effectively. So today, if you have any questions that come up, please submit them during using the question and answer feature or the Q&A feature, and we will work diligently to make sure that all of your questions are addressed. And with that bit of housekeeping out of the way, it is my absolute pleasure to introduce you to Dr. Jannett N. Jackson, Interim Chancellor at the Peralta Community College District. Chancellor Jackson was previously president of College of Alameda and VPI there, and worked at the district for nearly a decade before moving south to our neighboring district, where she was the esteemed chancellor of the Chabot Las Positas district for many years. And then she retired, and we were able to bring her back from retirement to work here at the Peralta district. So with that, welcome, Chancellor Jackson. And I will add you as a spotlight.
Okay. Can everybody hear me? I'm not muted,
Oh,
am I?
Yes, we can hear you, Chancellor.
Okay, thank you very much. First of all, welcome everybody to 2022. Boy, time has gone by quickly. So we have a lot of things. Usually what we've done in the past is I will give kind of an overview, and then we have a break, and then we go into the leadership team. What we thought we would do today is to combine our efforts. And so we will I'll give some short introductory comments, remarks, give you a little bit of update, and then immediately turn it over to Vice Chancellor Ron McKinley of Human Resources for his update, and that's how we'll go through the agenda. which is up there on the screen right now. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and get started so we have the maximum time to answer questions. And I want to thank the administrative team that is also part of the panelists because it really worked well as everybody tried to answer questions. That way we had almost a real-time response. And if you haven't looked at the webinar and the town hall meeting that we had in December, because we also captured the Q&A, the questions and answers, as we did previously. I think that really works well for us. So welcome to the spring 2022 semester. And this is going to be our return to campus as well as a short update. So next slide. So at my first announcement that went out in the fall, I think it was in probably early September or late August, I hearkened about an article as I was out just, going out on the web, and this popped up, and it was Ubuntu. And that spirit of Ubuntu is something that I wanted to bring as part of my leadership style to the district. It really, called to me, and unfortunately, I put, not unfortunate, but Archbishop Desmond Tutu passed away last year, and I'd like to just share with you, his words about Ubuntu. And it says, and I'm sure you can all read it, but I will do so. Africans have a thing called Ubuntu. It is about the essence of being human. It embraces hospitality, caring about others, being willing to go the extra mile for the sake of another. We believe that a person is a person through other persons, that my humanity is caught up, bound up inextricably with yours. And I continue with that thought. So I hearken back to that just as a reminder as we go forward. So next slide. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about our vaccination requirements for employees and for students, other than to say it is out on the web. It's under Safe Peralta. I think we've covered it several different times in several different modalities. And so it is available out there. The board made this decision back in July of last year as we were getting ready to go into the fall, that all employees would be required to be vaccinated, or if they had an exemption. That immediately triggered a lot of discussions, a meet and confer, and getting out our policy for employees. And it's there for you to see as a condition of employment. All existing and new Peralta Community College District faculty, classified employees, administrators, hourly employees, short-term, contract employees, independent contractors, and student employees must, as a condition of employment, be vaccinated. And later, they made that, next slide, they made that decision also for students. There has been questions about did the district change its policy regarding students? I want to reiterate, no, we have not changed the policy. We are still requiring all students to be vaccinated. However, given the limited number of staff and personnel that we have, we're focusing on those students in this semester that are face-to-face, those students that are coming on campus for either face-to-face classes or for services such as counseling in the library or using our sports areas. That is what our focus is, but we still have the same requirement that we had previously. That has not changed. Next slide. So this is the process for screening for students accessing in-person courses face-to-face. This is something that I sent out December the 15th of last year. And again, it just further clarifies that we have not changed the policy on students, but our focus is really on those students that are coming to campus. Next slide. So I wanted to give you just a little bit of update on accreditation. And this just gives you kind of a historical view. We got our follow-up report in on October the 1st. We had a site visit on the 18th and the 19th. And then the commission meeting was held last week on January the 14th. I can say that I feel cautiously optimistic and encouraged that when the presidents and I, and also interim vice chancellor Ahmed, met with the commissioners and we made our presentation, there were no questions. And that is always a good sign when you go before the commission, when there's no questions. It means that you've addressed everything and they don't need to further inquire or get clarification. There were 2 comments, and this is why I feel encouraged, because those 2 comments came from commissioners that endorsed the recommendation that I asked the commission to make. And that recommendation was that they move us from probation to warning. Now, some may say, why wouldn't you ask for full accreditation? And the reason is we still have things that we have to accomplish, and we set up our own internal milestones for accomplishing that before the end of this academic year. So June 30th, 2022. So I asked them to reduce us to warning. Warning is the lowest level of sanctions that you can get, to allow us and encourage us that what we're doing right now is great, and to give us that affirmation that we are moving in the right direction. So like I said, based upon the endorsement from 2 of the commissioners and no questions, I do feel fairly confident that they are going to take our recommendations and act appropriately. But again, I don't have any formal notification. When I talked to Cindy Miles, who is the interim director at ACCJC, she indicated that there were 36 other colleges that were also being reviewed by the commission. And their policy is always to send out all of the letters at the same time. So she could not send out a letter early. I would have loved to come to this body and say, you know, congratulations, we've done it. We're moving, we're getting traction and moving forward. But unfortunately, I have to wait for another 2 weeks. So I was told that we should get notification the first week of February. So I will share that with you as it comes across my desk. Next slide. One of the other things that we wanted to accomplish, and I know that a lot of you were involved in this, is the board's mission statement. It went through the shared governance, participatory governance process. It came to the board, I believe, in March or April of last year. The decision was tabled. The board wanted to review it. They wanted to have discussion about it, and they felt that they needed to have some time to be able to do that. So our first retreat for this year was last week, 2 weeks ago, in January. And that was one of the topics that they discussed. And I am happy to say that it is going before the board next week, January the 25th. And they reached consensus on the mission statement. And if you look at the mission statement and you compare it to what was recommended through the participatory governance process, you will see the only thing that changed was environmental sustainability. So it states the Peralta Community College District is a collaborative of colleges advancing social and economic transformation for students and the community through quality education, rooted in equity, social justice, environmental sustainability, and partnerships. So I want to thank the board for moving forward. I want to thank those of you that were part of it. And it will be voted on at the next board meeting. And given that, sometimes things happen, becomes like a perfect storm. So just before I met with the board, in fact, the week before I met with the board, I met with Amos White, who is the founder and chief planting officer, not operations officer. He calls himself the chief planting officer for Alameda County and the Urban Green Initiative, which is called 100 Trees for Humanity. And I met with him, and one of the things that resonated when I met with him, he reached out to me. So like I said, perfect storm sometimes. And he said that their organization has a long legacy of advocacy for environmental justice. And one of the tenets of his organization is environmental justice. And their credo states, environmental justice is civil and human rights. We believe that we must fight for our rights to clean air, clean water, and to nature by centering the environment within the intersection of racial justice and social justice. And he went on to provide just a very enlightening PowerPoint presentation showing how trees impact the environment on an aesthetic level, but also it reduces emissions and reduces traffic. It slows traffic down. And I am going to be inviting him to make a presentation to our participatory governance body. And he welcomes that. And we're looking forward to establishing a memorandum of understanding with him and incorporating some of the tenets that he is fostering in his organization within our own, hopefully, our strategic planning and educational master planning projects. So really happy to let you know about that. Next slide. The other information that I have, and some of you may have heard me talk about this previously, we put in for a grant with the PepsiCo Foundation. So Pepsi-Cola Foundation has Pepsi-Cola has a foundation just like we have our Peralta Foundation. And they started an initiative in response to social justice and equity, where they are providing a $500,000 grant over 2 years for eligible career and technical education students. We're focusing on the STEM area, and we will be involving our deans and our faculty and staff in this initiative because the foundation, as you know, is not an outreach organization, but they are the fiduciary agent for these funds, and they provide scholarships and wraparound support services to our students. So this was a way for the PepsiCo Foundation to reach out to our foundation to provide these funds, but we are absolutely going to have involvement on the faculty and the staff and our support services and our classified professionals to make this a success. And more information will be coming about that. I know Lanice is putting together an announcement to go out. We'll probably have some kind of check writing presentation to get the word out to our students. But I wanted to let you know, we did get notice of that in late December that we were approved, and we're one of 26 colleges throughout the nation that received these funds. So really kudos to us and our district in moving forward with that effort. And then another reminder, we have one of our biggest fundraisers for the foundation and how they're able to give out grants and scholarships to our students is our golf tournament. Unfortunately, the day that we were going to have the golf tournament, we had one of those bad weather days, I'll put it that way. And so we had to cancel that, and it's being rescheduled for May 23rd of this year. So if you like to golf, and even if you don't like to golf, if you'd like to participate by assisting at different holes, we have vendors that support us in those efforts, and they love to meet with the faculty and staff regarding that. So just a shout out to Lenise Jones and her staff, getting it all together, and then at the last meeting, last minute, having to pull it because of just poor weather. So next slide. So I'm going to turn it over to Dr. McKinley. He's going to cover some things that we've covered before, and we will entertain any and all questions. Like I said, we're trying to get through our presentation part so that we have time to address those questions real time. So Dr. McKinley.
Thank you, Dr. Jackson, and good morning, everyone. So as the Chancellor said, I'll cover some things we've already covered before. I'll also say a few things that I think we haven't said. And I'll just remind everyone, of course, that the situation is fluid. We're learning how to do this as we're doing it. However, I will mention that the evidence seems to suggest that the coronavirus may very well be evolving in the way that many viruses evolve, and that is that it becomes more contagious and less virulent. And that appears to be the case with the Omicron variant, especially if people are vaccinated. So hopefully that continues to be true. I was reading an article recently where the European Union and the UK are both going to, after the Omicron surge is over, which they expect to happen shortly, that they will then be moving to treating the COVID virus in the same way that they treat flu, measles, and other contagious diseases, because they believe that it's there around to stay, and it will have to be dealt with new, with vaccines each year as we go forward. So I guess more to come on that, and we'll see, how that works out. If you recall, all employees, contractors are required as a condition of employment to be vaccinated. We've already said that. I think everyone knows that. The policy was promulgated and amended on August 21st. August 5th, I should say, of last year. And then all students are required to be vaccinated or have an approved exemption. However, as the Chancellor said, the spring focus is on students that are attending in-person class. And as you all know, right now there are many students wait until the last moment to do things. Many of them may not have uploaded their information yet to Campus Shield. However, it's on a later slide, but I was going to mention it now. If they show up and they've not done that, the Bright Star screeners will be able to clear students if they have the correct credentials. In other words, their vaccination cards when they show up for classes, even if they haven't. And for those who are upload their information to Campus Shield, that will be visible immediately on their screens. And of course, everyone needs to be properly masked. And that means that we cover both our nose and our mouth at all times while on Peralta controlled property, unless we are eating or drinking, or we are alone in our own office with the door closed. Next slide, please. And here are just a reminder of some of the, in keeping people safe, that here are some facts that this is when certain announcements are made. And I won't reiterate all of these things, but many announcements, or most all of them, are posted on the Safe Peralta website, as you can see from the 5th bullet, and we continue to do that. We will continue to evolve our response to COVID-19, such as more vaccination clinics. We do have free Monday through Friday testing for all employees in the 4 campuses, Monday through Thursday, and the district office on Friday mornings, all of them from 8 a.m. to 12 noon on each of the campuses. Now, there have been a couple of times that they've been canceled, and that's been due to the vendor staffing shortages. So they're not immune to people being ill, calling in sick, and not being able to provide services, just like many other vendors or employers throughout the country, not just in the Bay Area, but also throughout the country. We also sent out our first non-compliance notices just prior to the winter holiday break. We will be following up on that shortly for those folks that are still not conforming to the requirements that they be vaccinated and show proof or have an approved exemption. Next slide, please. So our goal, of course, is to keep everyone as safe as humanly possible. And once again, we do not want to discipline anyone. We never want to have to do that, but we are going to take steps, and there are consequences associated with our actions. The consequences are logical consequences, and we will take disciplinary action if we need to. And it says further non-compliance notices will begin to go out this week. This is for follow-up to those folks that have not yet conformed. I will mention that there were a number of incorrect notices that went out. Anyone who received an incorrect notice, we have corrected their records, and the notices will not be part of their personnel files, so no one needs to worry about that. That we're going to make sure we do that in the best way possible. And so, as we know, everything's, as I said before, is evolving very quickly, and it's quite fluid. There are new Cal OSHA isolation and quarantine guidelines. I'd like to point out that our adoption of these guidelines is required, and it is not an amendment to our Peralta COVID prevention plan. The COVID prevention plan exists, and we have always said that we will immediately comply with any new guidance or requirements that government authorities, including Cal OSHA, would promulgate. And they have done that. On the 14th, there are new guidelines. Generally, I'm just going to say it generally, you can see the link. I would encourage everyone to go to Save Peralta website to look at this link and become familiar with it. And also know that although this is effective on the 14th of January, this could change tomorrow, it could change next week, it could change a month from now. So we all need to be flexible and nimble. But in general, the new guidelines call for 5 days, if you were vaccinated, calls for 5-day isolation or quarantine. So isolation is if you actually have tested positive to COVID. Quarantine is if you have come into close contact and been exposed to COVID, and you know that to be the case. Then you do 5 days, then you do a test. If you have a negative test, you can then go anywhere you want. You just need to wear a mask whenever you are indoors, regardless of your location. So that's both here and any other place you might go. And then I've already said that Campus Solutions will indicate that students have been cleared immediately upon that information being uploaded, and Bright Star will be able to clear students where and when it's indicated. And thank you very much. And I'd like to now hand this over to our Executive Director of Marketing, Communications, Public Relations, Mark Johnson.
Thank you, Vice Chancellor McKinley, and good morning, Peralta community. After a little bit of Zoom housekeeping, let's jump into the procedures for visiting campus. We wanted to share with you what we've been communicating to students. So there are really two things that students need to do before they come onto our campus. The first is that they need to upload their vaccination credentials via Campus Solutions, which Dr. McKinley just talked about. And secondly, whenever they come onto campus, they need to take the screening app or use our app, the Campus Shield app, to take the COVID screening test. And this is the documentation that we've given to students. It's a very, very easy process for students to upload their vaccination credentials or their exemption request via Campus Solutions. For using the Campus Shield app, students can go to the Apple App Store or Google Play to download the app. Students should use their Peralta student email address to register the app so that we know that they're a Peralta person. And then once the app is installed and set up, it's a really straightforward quiz. They click on the COVID health assessment, they answer a few questions, and then they get the green screen, which they can then show to Bright Star personnel when they are coming onto campus. And more on that in just a moment. But first, I just want to remind employees, faculty, what's required when coming onto campus. Again, proof of vaccination needs to be uploaded via company nurse, which is the tool that we're using for employees, as Dr. McKinley just mentioned. And then in addition to uploading the vaccination credentials, we also need to take the daily screening whenever we come onto campus via company nurse. And here's the screening process that one goes through in company nurse. As you can see, the vaccination status shows in company nurse, and it'll tell you if some sort of action for screening is required. You go through, you answer the questions, and then you get your green screen for access. Very straightforward. I mentioned Bright Star Care. That's a new presence on our campuses this semester. At the Board of Trustees meeting in December, the board approved the contract with Bright Star. Previously, we were using Marina Security as our daily screening check. And the feeling was that this was really more about an individual's health, and that a more appropriate resource to check the daily screening information would be a healthcare provider. Bright Star is an East Bay business, so we've gone relatively local to hire Bright Star. They are healthcare professionals. They specialize in in-home care, but for us, it's in-campus care. And they are staffing the welcome kiosks at all 4 of the college campuses. So the procedure now is that students and faculty and other employees should be checking in at the Bright Star, showing your green screen credential, getting approval to proceed onto campus, so that we know that the appropriate steps have been taken to verify that COVID is not, that the spread of COVID can be limited. Marina Security will still be helping steer people to the Bright Star welcome kiosks. We also have some signage throughout the campuses to help direct students and others to the Bright Star check-in kiosks. And we've created a number of A-frame posters, and you can see the different flavors of the signage that appears on the A-frame posters. I want to give a thanks to Laney College Vice President of Student Services, Ramon Knox. He provided me with great suggestions for the copy that we used on these signs. So thank you, VP Knox. So to take a step back and get the big picture view, this is a graphic that Marcus Creel, our graphic designer, created. This is how to make your life better in just a few easy steps. You apply to community college, you enroll at the Peralta colleges, you get vaccinated, you upload your vaccination credentials via Campus Solutions, the same application that you use to enroll. You visit the campus, you take the Campus Shield app COVID health assessment and be sure and wear a mask. You learn more from teachers like you who love to teach, and that creates opportunities. So that's our message. We'll be putting that out through social media. This information is all available on the Safe Peralta website. If you haven't visited Safe Peralta, I encourage you to do so. We have a current status summary on the homepage that lets you know if there's something that's canceled, like a COVID screening. We try and get that message up as soon as possible. We had a COVID screening cancellation. We try and get that kind of information posted as soon as we hear about it. So you can check on Safe Peralta and see what the current status summary is. The vaccination policy is listed there. The instructions for campus access for both students and employees is posted. The COVID testing opportunities are posted. Whenever we have on-campus vaccination clinics, we post that information as well. And there are specific sections that include frequently asked questions and answers for both students and employees. And the last part is on the homepage. If you scroll down a little bit, there's a latest updates section. And Vice Chancellor McKinley mentioned that we post things like Chancellor's announcements. Our ventilation reports, for example, have been posted in the latest updates. And whenever there is a positive case that we need to report on one of the campuses, that gets posted on the latest updates as well. And with that, I will turn things over to our Director of Public Safety, Tim Thomas.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Appreciate it. I hope everyone can hear me. All right. Good morning, everyone. My name is Tim Thomas. I'm the Director of Public Safety. First off, before I get into my spiel, I'd just like to thank the governing board and also the chancellor for giving me an opportunity to come here and showcase not only my expertise, but also what I've been doing for the past 20 years of my life, and also sharing my dreams and aspirations with our students and also faculty as we improve our training resources in our neighboring agencies. One of the main things when I came into Peralta, to my first 30 days, had to hit the ground running. November was a busy month for me. It was trying to get out and shake hands and kiss babies, as I would say. So I got a chance to get out there and meet some of the presidents and also some of the VPs of the folks that are stakeholders at the community colleges to see how Peralta runs from a security standpoint. During that time, I had a good chance to assess marina security, their job functions, day-to-day actions as the operation proceeds as we protect our faculty and students. I won't share with some of the infrastructure things that I noticed and some of the things that I will present to the board, but I will share with you some of the things that I saw an immediate improvement that I thought that we could make an immediate impact. After being out at some of the colleges for my first 30 days, I got a chance to talk to a lot of faculty members, some folks who were working in their offices, some folks are just still on campus trying to get ready for the return to campus. And some of the folks, had a lot of suggestions for me, as I call them. I'm referring to suggestions as complaints moving forward. Some of these things that I looked at very seriously, and I want these folks to know that your opinions and suggestions were taken very seriously. So I hit the ground immediately working. One of the main things that we wanted to do was we wanted to look at our security guards. We wanted to look at specific locations at different campuses. Each campus in Peralta is shaped and ran differently. The way the buildings are made up, the way their architectural structure is made. Also looking at our cameras and the structure of our cameras. So all these assessments was tied into our third assessment in our first phase. And that was just looking at our security team, looking at what our best patrol strategies would be in specific areas in case of emergencies and those things. One of the other things that I looked at that I also wanted to take into our top 6 was visibility and patrolling. I went onto several campuses, and one of the main things that I wanted to see security. I wanted to see people in areas where they could be seen, and also meeting that first one is customer service. And I found some deficiencies in those areas. So we started to improve and start training towards visibility and patrolling. So what I did was I met with Marina Security, and I meet with Marine Security once a week to discuss some of our visibility and patrol efforts as we look at facilitating our training with our faculty and our staff. And so now we have patrol beats with our Marine Security, and now looking at some of the things that was given to them during this time, we're now affecting those strategies on each campus. If you go onto each campus now throughout the district, you will start seeing some of the different things that I'm talking about on the top 6 things that I'm referencing to. A third thing, how do we respond to emergency? And that was one of the things that we wanted to also work on when I came in to look at. So we're in the process now of also creating a memorandum of understanding with Oakland Police Department, Alameda, and also Berkeley. We have already met with Oakland already, and we are in the process of putting together the memorandum of understanding and also our post orders on how we respond to emergencies. So I'm very excited to be working with the chiefs in our area to improve our response to emergencies. And we'll also be doing that with the safety teams throughout the district as we're forming into our 60-day plan that we're going to assess on our safety. So we'll be getting that started with training moving down the road as we get started with the new mental health awareness campaign that Oakland is going to be launching. And so we want to make sure that we're also lined up with Oakland when they launch this campaign for our training, so that we're doing the same thing that our municipality agencies are doing. So if in fact there is an emergency, we are trained and prepared, and we're not doing things that we just made up or we saw somewhere. We're doing something that we've been trained, and I really believe in training. So that's one of the main things that I really want to really harp on is 3 is respond to emergencies. And so we will move forward in that area. Again, harp on 4, the role of security guard at Peralta. And so what we tried to do moving on 4 is we set up December for a training day. In December, during the break while folks was at home, we were here training, trying to make sure that we had the campus safe and ready for students and faculty to return, but also being assured that we make sure our objectives were met and the things that require safety. And so one of the very first things was I wanted to start with the supervisors. I did a supervisor training that was done in December with Marina. I trained every supervisor in Marina and met with them. And we went over every campus layout. We went over how to respond to our students in calls for service. And the training was to enhance the empowerment of the officers as well. And so that we can start with them on how we want our reporting procedures to go and how our checks are supposed to go. And so we put some different things in place, which are daily activity reports. These daily activity reports are sent out to each president each week upon request so they can see the safety metrics of now what we're doing with Marina security. So we know exactly what we're getting in an 8-hour day with Marina security and the checks that are being made on our campuses. And so that was something that we really wanted to do when we had established that training and those protocols in December. The 5th thing, de-escalation training. I met with Marina, we trained on de-escalation training. One of the main things that I know from working on the community campus that we're doing Bright Star, and we're going to be doing our leading our students to the campus to get checked in. But what I do know, there might be some students that may pass by, slip through. And what we wanted to make sure is that if that student did slip through, how do we respond to adversity, right? How do we respond to someone telling us what they're not going to do? And so one of the main things is we worked on de-escalation training. We had scenarios that were given to the security officers. At that point, after doing a scenario, they wrote a comprehensive report, security report. And that gave me an understanding that there was still some more room for improvement for us to improve our services. So following this exercise, I conducted a report writing class with Marina Security on how to be able to set our reports up, but not also set our reports up, but being able to hand our reports off if needed. I think the main thing is that when we have a playbook, is to develop in our playbook. And since this is a new position and also a new plan that we're putting out within our health and wellness plan within our campuses, we have to develop our playbook, but also be able to hand it off if needed. And so one of the main things is we have to have the report writing standard that is acceptable in the security standard and as well as in our municipality standard as well. And I'm referring to as handing it off to our district attorney in case if needed. And then number 6, again, I talked about daily activity reports and incident reporting. Our first 30 days, again, was to assess some of the things that were outstanding, and we were able to do that. Our first 60 days, we're giving out and sending out incident reports to not only the folks that are at the campus, but also our stakeholders, including our presidents, for that they have information that are talking points when we meet with our safety committees to improve our enhancements, our measurements. Next slide. The security guards, upon initial assignment, again, here are some of the bullet points that I had out when we're looking at the overall improvement of our safety levels. Wanted to make sure that, again, our security officers, guards are in the right place in case of emergencies and also assisting Bright Star as well. Meet and greet. Wanted to make sure that the security guards met with each person that are in our buildings. Wanted to make sure that the security guards were present and visible. And so I think moving forward, as we come back to return to campus, you will start to see some of these things that I'm talking about on the meet and greet. One of the main things that I wanted to make sure that I harped on with Marina Security, and we've been driving the processes, and anywhere I've ever been, we have to have processes. And I'm a firm believer that a man with no vision is a man with no hope. And so we want to have a vision. And so one of the main things that we talked about was professionalism. visibility, customer service, and also report writing. And those was some of our 4 top concerns, right, as we move forward. And those came underneath improvement on our uniform appearance, right? We wanted to make sure we look up to par. We wanted to make sure we look decent in our positions. We want to make sure our belts was tucked in, our coat looks decent. These are some of the grooming things and some of the things that we started making an immediate improvement on with Marina. And we were able to get some of these things done and improving to get some of these things done. The onboarding process with Marina has been very good. Marina has been able to really respond and to really help me during the process of getting acclimated with how they run their processes. And we've been able to merge what our standards are and what our objectives are to serving our students and our faculty members. So it's been a great merging as far. Again, one of our top 5, and I go into our top 5 because I after looking at all of these and going over some of these objective points, really want to really look at our top 5. And these were some of the things that I looked at coming in. First aid on campus, and some of the training that we did, which is in December on the report writing in December, and towards the end of December we did SB 1626, and SB 1626 is the standard that gives our security guards an understanding of what their role is in serving a community college and community campus. And so this was a 2-day training that we did, or excuse me, 3-day training that we did with Marina, and everyone has been trained and signed off on this particular procedure, which goes in hand with one safety on campus. 2, again, report writing behind industry standard. Most of our guards were trained BSIS, which is a limited scope of report writing. So we added more training to BSIS and gave them additional training here in December. Key control standard, of course, looking at our keys. Want to look and see, who had keys, who doesn't have keys, or who needs keys. And so that was one of the things that also we looked at. Our electronic access control panel, who has access to buildings, when they've had access to buildings, and how has this been a common practice for us before? So we looked at those things. And then if you look at number 5, safety numbers on campus and signs. And one of the main things that this was one of my biggest indicators when I came onto the campus. I walked and talked to a lot of folks, and I asked them about numbers to call in case of emergency, safety numbers. The numbers were not on our phones, and most of the people did not have the number. So one of our very first things is we wanted to place the numbers on the phones. Alameda College is one of the first colleges that we have tagged that has all of the safety numbers on the phones, on our office phones, and also you should see a lot of signage as well. So we'll be tagging Laney and also Merritt moving forward. And also you will see that the shield line, the tip line, all the things that the security aspect of the shield aspect is working. So we're going to be really promoting that if you see something that is maybe suspicious, that is abnormal, to use the tip line because the tip line is working and active, and we want to encourage it because it's a great tool to use to deter criminal behavior. I think that when we look at this, safety is a big plan for everyone. And as the chancellor says, we're building this as we fly. But in closing, I would like to say that the challenge, and I say this to the faculty and also the students who are listening, the challenge is to maintain a commitment to a holistic and safety and wellness, but at the same time, creating a safe and secure environment. And I think that when we move forward, we're going to run through some challenges. I'm asking that we support one another, that we work together to meet the safety concerns that we can address with our district and our students as we keep everyone safe. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Director Thomas. So the next section is an update from campus facilities. Unfortunately, Vice Chancellor Theria Smith is under the weather today. So we are joined with Mr. Michael Terry. Michael Terry is a consultant with the district from HPLE, HPLE, High Performance Learning Environments. And so with that introduction, over to you, Mr. Terry.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm going to do just a quick brief overview. There are a lot of moving parts to this, and it continues to be an ongoing effort as the COVID standards change and are updated. And we are constantly assisting the district's campuses to maintain protections for visitors, students, and staff and faculty. I'm going to start off with just a discussion about the district-wide facilities cleaning. We had professional contracting cleaning come in to do a deep clean, which focused on sanitization of high-touch areas. These high-touch areas include things such as doorknobs, light switches, countertops, keyboards, phone sets, and grab bars in bathrooms, things that go beyond just your typical clean to make sure that we can keep the surfaces and the microbiology, efforts clean as possible. There was a healthy building science testing done by many professional organizations such as Forensic Analytics and also NES. And what they did was they went in and they confirmed and looked at certain issues and gave us a roadmap on how to implement the county's health and cleaning responsibilities. I'll go back into that a little bit more. Signage. We created signage that would help let people know, from visitors to students to contractors, when they're coming onto the campus, what to do, who to contact, what's needed to access the campus. And so those signage and directional wayfinding elements was put in place so when the students and staff and faculty come on, they know where to go. So let's go a little bit further into what exactly was done. Water flushing. Using the recommendations from Forensic Analytics, they talked to us about what's a good method for maintaining a clean and safe environment for our water. So all filters were changed. Certain water fountains were run for a certain specific period of time. And if we could not ensure that there was correct filtration, what we then did was we bagged off that water fountain and provided bottled water. But in most cases, we were able to get filters for most of the units out there, specifically the more modern ones. In terms of HVAC assessments, we had a very good review with NES. They actually went out and took a look at all of our rooms and so forth. So what we did was we contracted with a group, ACO Engineering, that went into all the HVAC units, replaced them all with MERV 13 filters. In addition to that, we had an NES industrial hygienist go out, looked at each and every room to figure out what the volume of air this dilution would be for each space. The concept is you dilute the spaces with air, you clean the spaces as much as possible, including high touch areas. And with that methodology, you keep the space filtrated. So in response to that, the district did something I believe that's above and beyond. They went out and purchased filter purification units. And we have supplied them in a lot of the classrooms throughout the district and spaces throughout the district. The HVAC mitigation needs, we are still doing ungrading, updating the existing equipment. We've actually, to not go into the weeds, provided even better bag type filters, which actually help in keeping the microbes and the viruses down out of the air. So what's left to be done? Well, clearly our units are still older and in need of some repair. So we're doing that. We have contractors and assessments going forward on a lot of those HVAC units. The security improvements, Director Thomas talked about that earlier, and then keyless entry to sort of control people coming on in and out of the campuses. So I'll be working with DC Smith, who will at a point in the future give you a more comprehensive review on some of the security improvements and keyless entries. But in terms of the ongoing COVID, responses and providing protections. HPLE is here and we are on board. If there are outbreaks, we get a professional contracting cleaning company to come out and we clean the spaces as we have done just recently. So we are here to protect and we are here to provide the best service to make sure that the facilities are cleaned and ready for students, staff, and faculty. Thank you. Here is a description, a review of some of the air quality works that was done by NES. As you can see, there are some that meets targets and with mitigation and some that didn't even need it. So, and that's kind of how it was done for each college campus. This is Merritt College, Laney College, and then we have ventilation summaries. And these are all available on Safe Peralta for your review. Keyless entries. I was able to attend, and we're still putting together an overall comprehensive district-wide plan for this, but it's clear that in the future, as we move forward, there's only a certain amount of normalcy that will happen. It is clear that to provide better security and to decrease the amount of exposures from pathogens, keyless entries is going to be the way to go. It also helps us to make these campuses much more secure. Next slide.
Great, thank you, Mr. Terry. Really, really appreciate you stepping in at the last moment to replace or to speak on behalf of Interim Vice Chancellor of General Services, Etheria Smith. Again, Etheria was not able to join us this morning. So thank you, Mr. Terry, really appreciate you stepping in. The last bit we have for you today is a little bit of information about promotion. We know that the Peralta has been challenged with declining enrollments in particular, and that decline has been exacerbated by the pandemic. And we're not alone. We're seeing numbers that are similar to community college districts across California. So what we wanted to do is just show you a little bit of information, give you some information on what the district did to help support enrollment. Let's see. There we go. Okay. So we created a little bit of context. Historically, the colleges have been responsible for their enrollment promotion, and the district has just promoted the district. The FCMAT recommended that we use district resources more aggressively for digital marketing and help promote the colleges, and that's exactly what we've done. So for the spring 2022 enrollment campaign, we have a number of different activities in progress. We have videos and banners that are being served by the Bay Area News Group. We have social media and over the top, which is like TV ads for streaming media. That's being run on our behalf by 25th Hour Communications. We have ads that I've been running through Google search. We have a postcard that is being delivered to all of the households in our 6-city service area. And we've been sending emails to prospective students who have applied using the CCC apply process but have not actually enrolled. That's an ongoing program. And then our colleagues at College of Alameda saw the videos and banners that we had created and said they would like us to spend a little bit of extra money to push those COA videos and banners even further. So we expanded our agreement with Bay Area News Group to do some focused ads for College of Alameda. I'm gonna fly through the next slides. I just want to show you what we've done. This slide deck will be made available to everybody, so you can refer back to the slide deck if you'd like. We created long form ads, 30-second ads, and short form ads, 15-second ads for each of the colleges. We created these ads in both with a time sensitive call to action, enroll now for classes that start on January 24th. And then we also created evergreen versions of these videos. And when I say we, I mean Angel Hunter. a video producer at Peralta TV. She did an amazing job producing all of these videos in-house. I'm going to pause on College of Alameda a little bit. As part of our campaign for College of Alameda, we did some experimentation with YouTube advertising. And the videos that we've got on YouTube are getting an amazing amount of viewership through the YouTube advertising that we have in place. So that's performing very, very well for us. Last note is that the audio from all of these videos has also been made available to radio stations for public service announcements or PSAs. Here's an example of the banner ads. We created a variety of ads with college level branding. Our research has indicated that the college brands pull better for enrollment advertising, which makes sense, right? I mean, students apply to the colleges, they don't apply to the district. So getting out with that college brand is really important for enrollment advertising. And so we've learned that from our data, and we have implemented that with this particular campaign. Here's College of Alameda. And when I say we created these, I mean Marcus Creel, the district the district graphic design specialist. Marcus did a really phenomenal job on creating a number of different assets that we could give to our advertising vendors to get out into circulation. You'll notice there's also a thematic connection between these banner ads and the covers that were used for the semester schedules. That's part of that family resemblance and branding that we've been trying to develop over the last 2 years. And quickly now, here are some of the ads that we've seen in context. So here's Laney on NFL.com. Here's BCC on Fortune.com. Here's College of Alameda on the Weather Channel. Here's Merritt College on CNN. So we're getting really good exposure out from the Bay Area News Network. We also have ads that are running on Facebook and Instagram, and you can see some of those ads here. This is a picture of the postcard that's dropping. Let me know when it hits your household, please. I was expecting it to hit last week, but I'm just got a report that it should be hitting mailboxes today. All of these advertising assets are pointing to a landing page at home.peralta.edu/spring. We are always trying to improve the resource where we send students. So as a faculty member, I would welcome your feedback on this particular landing page. If there are things that we can do better to make it more meaningful for students from your perspective, please let me know. I would value your feedback. The note on the side is that this is a consistent URL that's not impacted by our website changes. I hope many of you know we're in the process of launching a new website to replace our current web.peralta.edu website that is not mobile optimized, that is not fully accessible, with a new website that is fully ADA compliant for accessibility, and also that is mobile optimized with a nice responsive design for the many people that visit websites on their phones and mobile devices. We're in the process of getting ready to launch that. And I'll give a shameless plug for later today at Flex Day. Myself and Aaron Harbor, our web content developer, will be giving a preview of the new website at 2:30 as part of the Flex Day program. So please join me at 2:30 if you'd like to learn more about the new website. But back to the landing page. This is where we send students. We want to get them to the colleges to enroll as quickly as possible. So that's why you see the 4 college labels there. And the ad campaign so far has been really successful in getting people to visit that landing page, which is, you know, the top of the funnel. We're getting people to be familiar with the Peralta College brands. They're engaging with us. They're visiting this website, and then they're clicking through either to CCC Apply or to Campus Solutions to enroll. And as you can see, we've got over 30,000 views as a result of the ad campaign. Just to put some context, for our fall campaign, which was Peralta branded, we had 16,000 views to our landing page. And I was really happy with 16,000 views. So by changing it up and using the college brands and then spending a little bit money that we got from College of Alameda for COA focused advertising, we've more than doubled the traffic to the landing page from what we did for the fall semester, which is good for enrollment. We don't have insight as to how many people that visit our page. We know how many people then click to Campus Solutions, but we don't know how many people then complete the enrollment process with Campus Solutions. And I think that's the next step as we continue to build out our marketing resources. Is I'll be working with Chief Technology and Information Officer Antoine Mehle, and we'll be working on creating more insight as we in the handshake from HubSpot to PeopleSoft. And that concludes the presentation part of our session today. We have now an opportunity to go back and look at or I have an opportunity to look at the questions. I know that my colleagues on the panel have been looking at the questions as they've been submitted. So I am going to stop sharing and give us an opportunity to look at the questions. So I see we still have 41 open questions. Looks like the first one is about live captions. And I see my colleague Sasha is answering that. We have a question. Why are we using collaborative, an adjective, as a noun in the mission statement? Seems odd for an educational institution. I believe that that's used in our current mission statement. So that I believe was a carryover from the current mission statement.
I know that, excuse me, Mark, I'm just going to jump in a little bit. I do know that this came as a recommendation from the participatory governance, the PGC. It also went forward, I think, with some of the subcommittees that looked at it. I'm not sure if Dr. Tina Vasconcelos is here. I know she was in Europe, and I don't know if she's back or not. She made the presentation to the board. When I first got here, I heard her presentation, so I don't know if she has more information about that, or if there was anyone else on the PGC or that was involved in moving this forward that could speak to that. But that is the way it came through the participatory governance process. And like I said, the only thing that was added was environmental sustainability by the board.
Great, thank you, Chancellor. So the next question I see in the quote by the Chancellor about Ubuntu, she said, it embraces hospitality, caring about others, being willing to go the extra mile for the sake of another. Will Peralta be willing to go the extra mile and stand up for our community to delay this unsafe full in-person return? I think that was addressed a number of ways through all of the presentations this morning. If you think that we are not caring, I think that would be incorrect. We absolutely care about our employees, about our students, about the faculty, about our community. And that's always at the top of mind with every decision that we make. I don't know, Chancellor, if there's anything else that you would like to add on that?
I will add that, and I put this in the chat also because there were a number of questions about this and about neighboring community college districts. And each college district is looking at its own student body, its own faculty, its own classified professional staff and administrators. I think one of the quotes was Chabot Las Positas. Well, Chabot Las Positas is on the other side of the hills. That's the Dublin office, as well as Livermore. Hayward is further south. And that's a very different district, having worked there before, than the Peralta district, which is made up of really urban cities. It's more spread out in those areas. So it's very different to try to compare one district to the other. I do have a meeting scheduled for tomorrow with the 23 multi-college districts in the state. We did a survey about 2 weeks ago, and it could change since then. But I will tell you, Chabot, Las Positas at that time said that they were looking at pushing theirs back, which is true. We had not made a decision yet. As we've indicated right now, we're staying the course until such time as the environment or challenges about COVID increase. I think that Contra Costa had not made a decision yet. I think Foothill De Anza, which is on a quarterly system, which is very different than a semester system, said they are giving the option to faculty to opt out. I don't know what that means. If there's, I'm just reporting what was on the actual screen. San Jose Evergreen was moving forward with their plan. Loney did not report at that time. So it was that particular answer was not there. So I'm not sure what they were doing because they're not a multi-college district. This was just a survey that was done of the 23 multi-college districts. And throughout the state, it ranged from we're continuing on with what we put out in our schedule of courses to we're considering it to no decision has been made. So it runs the gamut. And, I don't think that one college district dictates what another college district is doing. But I do know that that was what I got from our survey. And again, that was on the 6th of January. We're now, on the 20th, and a lot can have changed by then. That's why we're meeting tomorrow. So I will have a better idea of what colleges within the region are doing.
Great, thank you, Chancellor. So we've got about 15 minutes left, and I see 46 questions that are remaining. There's no way that we are going to be able to get through the 48 remaining questions. I'm trying to screen them through, but most of the questions that I'm reading are more statements and not so much a question.
I'm going to jump in on one of the questions. It said, what is the current percentage of students who are currently not cleared? The notice on Canvas changed from Monday pass to have to be cleared 5 days before coming on campus. This individual is anonymous. It says, I still have 50% in some classes that are not cleared, would like to know the district average of not cleared. I don't think we have that information right now, but I believe I heard Dr. McKinley indicate that some students have waited and are clearing as they're going through the enrollment process. So of course, those students wouldn't appear on your roster, but they have been cleared. And let me just reassure everyone, whether they are on your roster as cleared or not, they will not be allowed to go to your classes if this is coming from a faculty member or anyone in student services. They will not be able to get onto the campus unless they are cleared, whether they come up on your roster or not. And you can always verify that because students can show you the green screen, as Dr. McKinley indicated, if they've gone through the process, but they don't show up as cleared on your particular roster.
Thank you, Chancellor. Regarding the unvaccinated or the uncleared students, my team has been in touch with our colleagues in IT and with institutional research, and we have lists of the students that are enrolled in the spring semester, and then we also have the list of students that are enrolled in face-to-face classes or classes that have a face-to-face component that includes the hybrid classes. And that particular list includes the vaccination status. My team, Aaron Harbor, our web content developer, has shared these lists with the PIOs and PIO types at the 4 colleges. These lists are available in our HubSpot communication, email, and texting tool so that we can provide personalized requests to those students to get them to upload their vaccination information via Campus Solutions. Okay. I see a question. Why are non-essential, non-student service staff also being asked to come in person? I believe that decision was made on a college by college basis. I'm wondering if one of our college presidents would like to field that answer.
I can give it a shot. I'll just speak in, I'm sorry, Angelica. I can speak in generalities. I mean, at every college, or at least at Merritt College, we asked, as administrators, we did a kind of thoughtful analysis about where we thought the needs were great. I think each of the colleges have modified the work schedules for employees at their respective colleges. I think that to a certain extent, in fact, at least at Merritt College, and the same may be true for COA and BCC in terms of being on campus 3 days, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays, I think for us, I think that's a pretty significant modification, that 40% of someone's work week would be done remotely. And I think at the other issue would be that for some areas, to be quite honest, it's been particularly challenging. Just go right there. It's been particularly challenging to provide the level of support to classified professional staff members when folks are working remotely. The amount of support and management when folks are working remotely, and that's just been the feedback. And that's not to say that that's true of everyone. That's not to say that people aren't working hard. That's not to say that people aren't committed to their jobs. But the feedback that I've gotten, at least at Merritt, is that our students do not feel adequately supported given us remaining primarily remote. So in order to address that, we've tried to, in as reasonable a way as possible, try to bring people back, modify schedules, and at least give students some options in terms of coming to campus face-to-face to receive those services when doing so remotely has not been as effective as we would want it to be.
Thank you, President Johnson. President Garcia, did you want to make any comments as well?
No, President Johnson answered, I think, well. Thank you.
Okay, great. I see President Besikoff.
Yes, thank you, Director Johnson. Just also want to say that certainly at our college, the need and the demand for a lot of, beginning with a lot of our career programs and then the need that those students have for support, I would say a lot of what we need on campus is there just by virtue of that. Also, in terms of a lot of our enrollment promotion events, just to date, attendance at our face-to-face events has probably outnumbered students attending the virtual events 4 to 1. Certainly, as we move along, we're going to continue to assess what our student needs are. But as far as Laney is concerned, we're all essential, and it's important to serve our students.
And I echo those same sentiments. We will look at our plans, we'll make adjustments as needed, but what we do is to do work that's in the best interest of our students in the safest manner possible.
Great, thank you,
So
President.
final, sorry, if I may, just final comments on that for Berkeley City College. Of the 4 colleges, we were the last to bring a lot of in-person instruction or services on campus. And certainly over this past week with the express registration, the work that's taking place, having folks on campus to support students through that enrollment process has really been, I think, instrumental, and in the opportunity to see students getting real-time support. But again, I want to echo the comments in terms of not that we were not supporting students in the remote environment. I believe we're all just trying to adjust and address how to support students as they continue on their academic and career goals. And I think, the name of the game is revision and adjustment as we follow guidance and guidelines collectively. Thank you.
Thank you, President Garcia. If I could just, one more thing, when we have the leadership has a weekly meeting on Wednesdays where we confer with each other, we brief each other on what's happening on campus with a particular eye to campus safety and wellness. And at our meeting on Wednesday, there was discussion about these in-person events and the energy that happens on campus from those in-person events. And it just, I was really taken by the excitement that came from each of the 4 presidents sharing information about those on-campus events and how meaningful it was for the students that were able to get that in-person attention. So we've got about 8 minutes left. Chancellor Jackson, we still have 56 questions remaining. I've seen a number of repeat questions that are in the queue. And some of those questions I believe that we've already answered. I'm wondering if you would like to make a closing statement in just a second, and we will follow up with providing answers to all of these questions, and we'll get those posted on Safe Peralta. And with that, Chancellor Jackson, would you like to take us home?
All right. First of all, we've had over 400 individuals that are logged in for this, introduction and a review of our return to campus protocols and updates. So thank all of you. I know it is a concern. We've discussed it, like Mark said, on a weekly basis of where we are, what are some of the trends, how are we moving forward? And I just want to reiterate a couple of things. One, we know and we hear your concerns. We are not dismissing those. We're not trying to minimize those. And we are ever vigilant in following up and keeping abreast of what's happening, not only locally, but also as far as the state is concerned, which has been mostly silent on guidance, and also what is happening at the national level. We've considered other options in terms of, do we want to do a pivot and move classes online? Do we want to push classes back? And based upon those discussions, we decided that at this 11th hour, to do that would be more disruptive, given that in the last, 7 months, we've only had a very few instances of active coronavirus infections. We were talking yesterday, and I believe Berkeley City College just had 2, and they had none previously. Laney has had a number, but not, and they're mostly been in the physical education area. And I believe that Merritt College just had 1. And I believe that, and correct me if I'm wrong, presidents, and I believe that College of Alameda had 1 that thought they had tested positive, but was not. So there has not been this outbreak, and we have been back since the fall. And we've only had really 2 cases since we've been back since January. And so given all of that, given the disruption to students, given the fact that our students are telling us that they want more services, and that we show in our data that they are much more successful when there are face-to-face classes, we've moved forward with that. Will we have to pivot? Yes, we might. I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball that will tell me one way or the other. But we are moving forward. The board endorses that. I've kept them apprised of what is happening. And as I indicated, I'm going to be checking with other colleges to see, and I'll share that information with you. And you have colleagues at other, college districts. You can check in with them also. And then the last thing is, we have extensive safety measures that we put into place, and we've had to use some of those. And we haven't had a major outbreak in our district. And then the last thing is, the health officials are not recommending that we close. When we closed previously back in March of 2020, that was because of the mandate that came from our local health officials. At that time, I was at Skyline College in the San Mateo Community College District. But that came as a mandate from our local health officials, even before it came from the governor. So we are maintaining our vigilance in keeping track of what is happening within our area. Not what's going on in another district, but we are communicating with those districts, and we are sharing some of our successes and maybe some of our faux pas of, don't do it this way, as colleagues across the state. So I just want to reassure everyone, this was not made in a vacuum. This was not made not looking at data. This was not made just collectively because we're chasing FTES, as some have tried to purport. It's done looking in mind at what is in the best interest of our students. And I have always said that, and I will continue that as long as I'm in the position of the interim chancellor of this district, is what is in the best interest of our students, given the safety concerns that have been voiced by our classified professionals, our faculty, and even our administrators. So taking all of that into consideration, it was not just an easy decision, but we feel that given the disruption and given the current status with what the health organizations are saying, that we should move forward. And that is why we made that decision. So thank you all. Will we have to pivot? I have no idea. As I said, if we do, then you will be one of the first after I let the board know. That is my recommendation, and the board will make that final decision just like they did on the vaccination protocol. So thank you, all of you. We will try to get to some of the questions. I want to thank Mark Johnson and MCPR, because they pull all of those questions together, because as Mark indicated, some of them are repetitive. Some of them are pejorative, some of them are accusatory, but we try to take out the emotion and just give you the facts as we see them, and so we can be transparent. So thank you all, everyone, for being here. I think we've reached the end of our webinar, and we will continue to get that information out. But as Mark indicated, the colleges are making those decisions. Having been a college president, I didn't want the chancellor telling me how to run my college. As long as it was within the guidance that was provided, then I could make those individual decisions as a president in collaboration with my administrative team. And that is what we've been doing here. So if you have specific questions about your campus, I would recommend that you address them with the hierarchy that is there on your campus, because it's not always a district decision. I've given you the guidance from the district on behalf of the board. How each college implements that is really up to that college, because they know their student body, they know their faculty, and they know their staff. So thank you all. Appreciate your attendance, and we will continue to stay the course.
Great. Thank you, Chancellor. thank you all for joining us. We were able to answer over 100 questions in real time today. So thank you. We'll get the rest of the answers posted on Safe Peralta. And I believe that now there's another Flex Day event with Dr. Inger Stark. So we will shut down this meeting and let you make it to that Zoom session. Thank you, Errol. Bye-bye.